Hi kids, my name is Chaplain Jonathan Court. Welcome back to Fort Carson Kids Time. Our verse for today is going to be coming from the book of Genesis, chapter 11, verse 7. And it says, "Come, let us go down and confuse their languages, so they will not understand each other." Why don't you say that with me a few times? Genesis 11:7. "Come, let us go down and confuse their language, so they will not understand each other." Let's say it two more times. Genesis 11:7. "Come, let us go down and confuse their language, so they will not understand each other." One more time. Genesis 11:7. "Come, let us go down and confuse their language, so they will not understand each other." Well, talks about our story for today. Our story is from the book of Genesis, about the Tower of Babel and about the Israelites not obeying God. So it started after the flood happened, Noah and the ark, and it destroyed everything on the whole world except for Noah and his family and the animals on the ark. Well, several years later, there were a lot of people. Noah and his family had a lot of family, and God had told the family to go and spread out to all the ends of the world, to go everywhere and settle down there and make family and grow food and do all of that. But God didn't want all the people to stay in one spot. He wanted them to spread out. So the people decided they did not want to obey God. They said, "There are so many of us and we're able to do so much. There's nothing we can't do." They had an idea. They were like, "We want to build a tower that reaches all the way up into the sky." So that's what they started to do. Now, I say that they started because God knows everything and can see everything. So God knew that they were trying to build this tower. And God wasn't happy because they were not obeying what God said to go spread everywhere, to go out, spread over the land. Yeah, so God decided that he was going to confuse their language. What does that mean, to confuse their language? It means some of the people he was going to be able to speak one language, and then others he was going to have them speak another language. And then others were going to speak another language. And there were just going to be too many languages there for people to be able to work together because they couldn't understand each other. If one person said, "Hey, we need to get a rock, move the rock over here," then it would just sound like babble, 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 babble. See? You couldn't understand anything. They couldn't get any work done. So eventually, they would have to go move someplace else. And so the people who all spoke the same language, they would all go somewhere else and spread out over the land. And the tower wasn't able to be finished. So, the point is that we can learn from this story is that they should have listened to God at the beginning. And you know what we can do? We can listen to what God tells us to do too. And he tells us to do some things that are good. He tells us in our heart, and we can hear him in our heart. Now, what we can also do is we can listen to our parents and what they ask us to do, and we can obey right away instead of not obeying, and instead waiting to do what you want and just doing what you want to do and then getting in trouble, like the people got in trouble from God. So a couple questions. What did God tell the people to do? What did God tell the people to do? That's right. He said, spread out over all the land. Well, what did the people do instead? Yeah, they stayed put and they tried to build a tower that reaches up into the sky. What happened when God made all the different languages? You remember what happened when God made all the different languages? Yeah, the people couldn't understand each other, and then they ended up having to spread out anyway. When should we listen, and when should we do what our parents ask? When should we listen and do what our parents ask? Right away. That's right. Good job. Just like God wants. All right, so I'm excited about our activity for today. You will need something to color with, markers, crayons, pencils. You will need 2 sheets of paper, and you will need a pair of scissors, preferably a smaller pair than this. And if you can't find some or you need some help, please ask your parents. Don't use scissors without asking your parents. So the first thing you're going to do is you're going to take your piece of paper and you're going to fold it in half this way. Okay, fold it in half. Then you squish that side there so it stays in half. See that? Perfect. Then you're going to get your crayons or your colored pencils and you're going to draw some people on one half. Okay? Now you want to make sure it's on the half, so the bottom half when you open it up. You're going to draw people. So you see the people on there. And we also had to do, since we're talking about the Tower of Babel, is we had to draw these little word bubbles like they're trying to talk, but there are question marks in there like, I don't know what you're saying. I can't understand you. And they all spoke different languages. See that? Okay. When you're done with that, you got them all colored, your people all colored in their Babble, their language. Then, okay, this is where you probably need your parents' help, but you're just going to cut just a little bit, really thin. Can you see how thin that is? It's really thin. You're just going to cut right out the middle, about 3 or 4 inches long, and just take that off. And that's just trash. You don't need that. So now you should have a hole right there where it bends. Now you're going to need your other sheet of paper. You don't need to fold the other sheet of paper. You need to keep it straight. Okay? And then you're going to draw a tower. So it could look something like that. And then you're going to cut out the tower, or you can you need to ask your parents for some help. Okay? And the tower is really easy. It's just a bunch of rectangles or squares on top of each other. See that? All right. Now here's the fun part where it all comes together. All right, I'm going to scoot over so you can see. So when you open it up a little bit, you can take your tower and see they're trying to build a tower. And then they get it all built as tall as they can before God comes and gets them in trouble and makes all their languages different. See, and then you can remember the story of the Tower of Babel. And you can also remember that we need to obey God and obey our parents right away the first time. Okay? All right, kids. Well, thank you so much for joining me for this episode of Fort Carson Kids Time. I look forward to seeing you again next time. Bye.